This organization is special. It means so much to so many people. It's a special place to work, too. Our staff...
The St. Louis Cardinals may be navigating one of the most uncomfortable transitional periods in recent franchise history. But beneath the surface of frustration, roster uncertainty, and an openly acknowledged reset, there is one area of the organization that continues to draw admiration from across Major League Baseball. That area is behind the plate. While much of the conversation surrounding the Cardinals this offseason has focused on payroll reduction, aging veterans, and difficult trade decisions, league evaluators are quietly pointing to St. Louis as one of baseball's most quietly well-positioned organizations at the catcher position, both now and well into the future. And that belief was reinforced recently when two Cardinals catchers were featured prominently on national outlook lists projecting impact players for the 2026 season. It is not a coincidence. It is the result of deliberate development, layered depth, and a catching pipeline that may soon become one of the most important pillars of the Cardinals' next competitive window. A systemic strength in an otherwise uncertain time. The Cardinals' current state is well documented. The organization has acknowledged the need for recalibration. Veterans have been discussed in trade rumors. Young players are being evaluated more critically than ever, and expectations for immediate contention have been tempered. Yet amid that reality, the catching situation stands out as an exception. While many teams across the league struggle to find even one reliable backstop, the Cardinals have multiple major league options, several upper-level prospects, and two blue-chip teenagers rising through the system. This depth is not theoretical. It is already being validated by national analysts, MLB pipeline rankings, and front office confidence. At the major league level alone, the Cardinals enter the 2026 timeline with three distinct catching profiles already in place. There is Yvon Herrera, the offensively gifted 25-year-old catcher whose bat has proven it can play at the highest level. There is Pedro Pagay, the more defensively polished option who has earned the trust of the pitching staff. And there is Jose Posada, better known as Poso, the late-blooming, high-energy veteran who unexpectedly carved out a role with clutch moments and infectious presence. Behind them sits a prospect group that few organizations can match.
Yvon Herrera, the bat that changes the conversation.
Yvon Herrera remains the most polarizing figure in the Cardinals' catching conversation, and for good reason. At just 25 years old, Herrera has already demonstrated that his bat is not merely playable, but impactful at the major league level. His power profile suggests legitimate middle-of-the-order upside, and internally, the Cardinals view him as one of their best offensive weapons, regardless of position. The challenge, however, has never been the bat. It has been the glove. Defensive consistency, throwing accuracy, and overall reliability behind the plate have remained works in progress. Herrera's offseason elbow procedure, which removed loose bodies, has only added intrigue to how the organization will deploy him moving forward. There are voices within the Cardinals' orbit who believe Herrera's future may not be behind the plate at all. First base and corner outfield spots have been discussed quietly, especially given his athleticism and prior experience in left field. Yet the organization has not closed the door on him as a catcher. Instead, they have promised him another opportunity, another evaluation window, to prove that he can stick at the position. That decision alone speaks volumes about how highly the Cardinals value his offensive ceiling. Pedro Pagay and the value of defensive trust. Pedro Pagay does not carry Herrera's offensive upside, but he may hold something just as valuable, trust. Pitchers are comfortable throwing to him. Game planning comes naturally. Defensive fundamentals are sound. At 27 years old, Pagay profiles as the type of catcher managers rely on during close games, critical innings, and pressure situations. His bat is serviceable, but his value is anchored in reliability. In a modern catching platoon, Pagay fits cleanly into a complementary role, particularly against left-handed pitching. His presence allows the Cardinals flexibility. They do not need to rush prospects. They do not need to overexpose Herrera defensively, and they do not need to compromise game calling. Poso, the unexpected contributor. Jose Posada's rise was not predicted. At 28 years old, he became a fan favorite almost overnight, delivering key pinch-hit moments, including a memorable home run against the Cubs that solidified his cult status. He brings energy, leadership, and a sense of calm to the clubhouse. While his role is not guaranteed, his contract includes roster flexibility. His impact was real. Posada is proof that catching depth is not just about tools. It is about readiness, mentality, and timing. Jimmy Crooks, a bounce back that raises eyebrows. When MLB.com recently identified Jimmy Crooks as the Cardinals' top bounce back candidate for 2026, it raised questions across the fan base. Crooks appeared in just 15 major league games. His offensive numbers were undeniably rough: a .133 batting average, 17 strikeouts, and limited impact. But context matters. Crooks' major league stint was brief, rushed by necessity, and came during a turbulent stretch for the team. Internally, the Cardinals remain extremely high on him. At the minor league level, his resume is exceptional. He was the 2024 Cardinals Minor League Player of the Year, the Texas League MVP, a postseason All-Star, and a Midwest League All-Star. Defensively, he draws consistent praise for his arm strength, pitch framing, and command of scouting reports. Coaches believe his leadership behind the plate is advanced beyond his age. And most importantly, the organization believes Crooks can be an everyday catcher. That belief is not casual, it is foundational. The prospect core that changes everything. Beyond the major league roster, the Cardinals' catching depth becomes even more impressive. Leonardo Bernal, just 21 years old, is already recognized as one of the best defensive catchers in the minors. His 2025 Minor League Gold Glove Award was not level-specific. It covered all of minor league baseball. Bernal threw out 39.1% of attempted base stealers, an elite mark that underscores his defensive instincts and arm strength. Then there is Raniel Rodriguez, or Raniel, or Ronnie Rodriguez. However his name is ultimately standardized, one thing is clear: he is special. At just 18 years old, Rodriguez produced numbers that historically separate prospects from future stars: a .683 slugging percentage, a 1.145 OPS, and 20 home runs across multiple levels, all as a teenager. He became one of only 3 18-year-old catchers since 2006 to post a WRC plus above 140 over 250 plus plate appearances. The others? Samuel Bazzalo, Jesus Montero. That is elite company. Rodriguez is currently ranked as the Cardinals' number 3 prospect and one of the top catching prospects in all of baseball. And crucially, he plays a premium position. Why this matters more than ever: the Cardinals finished 29th in MLB in home runs, ahead of only Pittsburgh. Power is scarce in the organization. Finding it at catcher is even rarer. In 2025, only 3 players in the entire Cardinals organization, majors and minors, hit 20 or more home runs: Wilson Contreras, Joshua Baez, Raniel Rodriguez. That reality reframes everything. The Cardinals do not need to force power development. It is already arriving. The big question: do you trade from this depth? With this much catching talent, the inevitable question emerges: does St. Louis eventually trade from this position of strength? The organization does not have to, but they could. And if they do, the return would need to be substantial: impact pitching, premium athleticism, or long-term outfield solutions. This is not a question of surplus. It is a question of leverage. The Cardinals are not desperate here. They are positioned. Looking ahead to 2026 and beyond, what makes this moment significant is timing. The Cardinals' next competitive window is not 2025. It is 2026 and 2027. And the catching pipeline aligns perfectly with that timeline. Herrera enters his prime. Crooks matures. Bernal refines. Rodriguez ascends. This is not accidental. It is architecture. While fans understandably focus on what the Cardinals may lose in the coming months, the catching situation represents what they are quietly building. And it may ultimately become the foundation upon which the next winning era is constructed. The Cardinals may not look like contenders today, but behind the plate, they already look like one tomorrow.